Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Lauren Wenzell. I am a human design specialist, and today I have with me the beautiful Mallory Davidson. And today we are going to look at her channels. Mallory is a 3-5 self-projected projector. And I wanted to invite Mallory on. She is so amazing. I've been working with her for recently, like throughout the year, but previously we connected, really good friends, and she is just such a light and a joy. And Mallory, I'd love for you to introduce yourself, let us know what you do, your background before human design, and where you currently are with it now. And then we'll get into your channels.
Perfect. Well, hi, I'm Mallory. I'm so happy to see you today. I'm looking so forward to learning about the channels. I currently serve as an intuitive guide and coach. My background is in massage therapy, in osteopathic and holistic medicine, in energy medicine, and more recently in energetic guide type of work. So I do work with people one-on-one in person in Austin, Texas, and I also work with people virtually, depending on what their needs are. So human design has been really so helpful to me for my own soul's expression, and also to understand other people, specifically clients. So whenever you first introduced me to it, you were explaining about what it means to be a projector. I had no idea. And even in current partnerships, friendships, clients, I'm using these tools to help me really understand other people and myself. And it's bringing a deeper awareness and acceptance of exactly who we are and what that benefit is, right? So I am still like a human design kindergartner, I would say, maybe first grade. But I love it. I'm learning so much, and it's just softening a lot of edges for me and my own journey. And when I work with other people, it's offering me a totally different level of understanding. And there's a lot of wisdom here. I'm really excited to look at the channels today.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, for a projector, it's so beneficial. Like it just for me, it answered so many questions. And as we start and continue to go through the experiment, it really is a journey. So let's get into your channels, and I'm going to share my screen and we're going to look at Mallory's chart. So as you can see here, this is her chart. Mallory is a 3-5 projector with 2 channels. She has the 1020, which is an individual channel. That's called the channel of awakening or the Buddha channel. And then she has the 3313, which is the prodigal channel. So in human design, our channels, especially for projectors, this is where our gifts are really recognized. This is our life force. And I know we have like our incarnation cross and our profile, which is really important, but the channels specifically, we really get to focus on and learn and integrate into our system. So I'm going to start with the 1020 channel. And we're really going to go into it. I'm going to give you some information of what I know about this channel, Mallory, and then I would really love your feedback, seeing what pops for you, how you notice it for yourself, and then if you have any questions.
Okay, perfect.
So with the 1020 channel, it is an individual channel. So what that means for the individual channel and circuitry is all about first is self-empowerment. It's self-focused, and then it's meant to empower others. So the individual can be misunderstood if they are not seen for their genius, especially in groups or tribes. So let's say you're in a group situation, a tribe situation where it's very much like this is how the tribe is. And Mallory, since you don't have any tribal channels, it might feel uncomfortable to be in a specific tribe or group. And if you're not being recognized for your genius and your individuality, that could cause a lot of pain. So with the gate 10, it's all about the love of the self or not. With the G center, it's all about self-love, direction, and identity. And through the centers, we can always see an or not theme and the gates. So gate 10 can be self-love or not. And I've seen this with people who are either like in alignment with their path. And so they're more tapped into their gates and that their highest expressions. And if they're not really in alignment with their path and they're living in their not self, then it's more of the or not or shadows of the gates. And I'm not saying it from like a judgmental place or this is right and wrong. It's just what is and how these gates and channels and centers show up. So as the gate 10 connects with the gate 20, so the 20 is the throat in the throat center, and this is where your definition is. And looking at Mallory's chart, she only has two defined centers. So her channels, this definition for her is everything. She is super open. She's open and undefined in all her other seven centers. So not only is she a projector, the projector plugs into the other like a straw and amplifying and absorbing the other and lasering in. She only has two defined centers. So her channels are going to be really, really important for her to focus on. And so for the gate 20, it's the gate of metamorphosis. It's all about expressing yourself in the now. It's transformation in the now through your words. And so when the gate 10 links up to the gate 20, it's all about your self-love and self-expression and self-empowerment in the now when invited through your genius. So Mallory, how has that shown up for you? What have been the themes around that for you? Does that land in your experience?
Yeah, it does. One thing that's on my radar right now is the lack of tribal channels. And because historically, I like very much to be by myself. I like
Mm-hmm.
as well, but for my recharge time, I notice I really need to physically be alone.
Mm-hmm.
So, like community living, the idea is beautiful to me. And sometimes I still have to like physically remove myself in order to fully recharge. Would that be something that's related to this?
So that's related to being a projector for
Okay.
sure, because we're being conditioned, especially at our sacral, by the energy type. So it's suggested from the human design community and the founder Ra Uru to sleep alone if you're a projector, because if you're not, you're just continually to be amplifying, absorbing that energy when you're sleeping. And I can say this from experience, sleeping alone for the past few years, it really helped me decondition even more to be in my aura type. But going back to this channel, it is a theme because it is individual. It
I
is
see.
self-focused. So we have themes in our charts that tie into certain things. So that can be that too. But do
Hmm.
you feel like you have this connection to your self-love and self-empowerment that you're here to share and be recognized for?
I do now. In the past, I didn't. I think I was more in the not self theme in the past. And I
Mm-hmm.
think growing and expanding more into it now. And I got to tell you,
Love
it's a
that.
now. Even leaning into even having that information and kind of giving myself permission to put more energy there it's been really, really nice. It's been so much simpler and more natural feeling.
That's great. So what really helps is looking at where the gates are placed in their planetary placement and their lines, because it really is like, okay, this is my channel, I get it. But then when we look at a few layers deeper, it really starts to pop more. So let's look at your gate 10. You have this activated twice in your chart, right? I think, yeah. So you have it in your Neptune, both conscious and unconscious. So Neptune, that is like a veil. You really don't know how that is going to be expressed. And for me, my Neptune is in gate 58. And so anytime I get attached to feeling like I really want to tap into my joy, I really want it to look like this, or it's like I'm kind of grasping and I can't get to it. So I have to surrender and let that go. And then something mundane can be happening. I could be looking outside or something that I didn't expect, and then the joy pops in. And that's how Neptune works. It's this veil that we can't really understand, and then it shows up in a very mystical way. And so for you, Mallory, this is going to show up with your self-love and how you feel about yourself through trial and error, because it's in your line 3, and you're going to be more conscious of that. And then in your line 5 as well, which you're here to universalize and teach other people.
Yeah, that definitely resonates, especially in my career. I do find that as I allow myself trial and error and deeper self-love and acceptance, that it attracts that same kind of client,
Mm,
same kind of client that's on a similar or parallel path.
I love that. What is your relationship with, because been really curious about this. I've seen people with this channel who, are living their design or maybe not living their design. And I just feel like, the Buddha channel, I feel like it's so powerful. It's so profound. I feel like it's like God in a sense, you know? And so what is that like for you? Do you feel connected to that? Do you feel like you experience that within yourself? I'm just really curious, and I'm sure other people with this channel or people who know people with this channel um, would want to hear more about that too.
I'm one of the people that would love to hear more, but as far as like feeling connected to God or the divine or whichever word is resonant, I feel that very deeply, and I have as long as I can remember. I've always felt connected. Sometimes it's felt misty around what to call it or what does that look like or in what ways do we tangibly connect, but I have always had that deep sense within me in a way that I have not always seen with other people.
Mm, I love that. And do you feel recognized with that connection you have?
Do you mean like outwardly, like other people recognizing that?
Mm-hmm.
Um, More so lately. I think having the awareness is helping me consciously look for that, and so I'm finding it a little easier. Um, so yes, I think that is expanding for me. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so with your gate 20, let's look at that. So your gate 20 is in your moon and it's in line 4. So, and it's in your personality gate. So what that would look like is, your self-expression in the now is going to be emotional. The moon is in human design is like the sister planet. The earth is the mother and the moon is the sister, and it's emotional. And so when we have the moon placements, it's an emotional experience for us. But you're going to be more conscious of it because it's in your personality. And this is going to be through your relationships because it's in your line 4. So do you feel like you have these moments when you're communicating in the now and it's very like emotional with the people you're interacting with?
Yeah, big time. I do. And what I've noticed with that, when I allow the emotion to come up and be expressed, it's immediately less intense. Not
Mm,
not that it needs to be, but when I give myself permission to just truly express that way of here's how I'm feeling without expecting anything from whoever's holding space, just to say, I just need to get this out,
mhm.
it clears almost immediately, or at least it balances, it moderates itself very quickly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
So putting these together with your self-love and your Neptune and how it's sort of like veiled through trial and error, and then through your teachings and universalization, and then connected to this emotional aspect of you that is transformation in the now through your relationships. It's like I love kind of putting these together because it's like even though channels, they're described a certain way, it's like for everybody who has their design, it's very specific. It's like putting together a math sequence and really understanding it. It's like this algorithm that we're like really looking through like a microscope of your DNA. So it's like, this expression of the Neptune and the veil and like how your self-love is just kind of there without you realizing it. And then the transformation in the now and how it's emotional and how you're here to share that with your network through your line 4. Um, and I feel though, as we're talking about this and as this is like landing for you, it's going to continue to activate it now even more because you're digesting it. Their frequency is now like blossoming. That's what I'm feeling. And then you're going to see this even more. And then people are going to recognize, like, wow, like I need to work on my self-love. Like what has worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? And then you tapping into that emotional expression of yourself in the now. It's really going to continue to open up your aura as a projector. Because when we initiate, it doesn't really work for us. I mean, I've seen projectors who have been successful, I guess, in a way through their not self when they don't know they're a projector. But it's just very different when you know you're a projector and you really start leaning into your design and letting your aura work for you. So with this channel, I feel it's very, very powerful for you.
Which channel are we talking about?
The 1020 still.
Okay, that's making sure I understood. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Sign
So
me up.
how does that feel? Is anything coming up for you? Do you have any questions with this channel?
I don't think with the 1020, but I'm really curious about the other one, especially because it's called the Buddha channel, or like how does that show up for some people? I'd love
So
to know.
that is the Buddha channel. So the channel of awakening is the 1020, and it's also called the Buddha channel.
Oh, I see. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have a lot of individual gates too. So that's a theme for you, is like really honoring your individuality. Because you have like the 24, which is all about your realizations, the 43, which is all about your unique ideas, the 1, which is all about your creative self-expression. The 2 is knowing where to put your resources, and then the 3, which is all about transformation and change.
What an interesting.
So so I feel like, and then the gate 28 too, it's all about knowing what's worth the fight and the struggle. So I feel like as you really this information and this energy and this frequency, it's really activating more of like, your individuality and you feeling empowered, thus empowering other people who recognize you. And it's like, okay, like we're here to like, love ourselves or however you communicate and like what is true for you through your trial and error because you're line 3. It's like this is what works and this is what doesn't work. And that's the power of the 3, is that they have the ability to climb up on the ladder, fall down, and then get back up and climb again and be like, okay, this is what works, this what doesn't work. And the 3-5, it's a very charismatic profile. Like people love being around the 3-5 too. So it's really embracing that trial and error. And then with the 5, it's like tapping into your heresy. It's really tapping into the teaching and the universalization that you're here to spread to your fractal, to the people that you're here to teach.
Hmm. That makes sense, especially the trial and error part. That's expanded for me the last few years, and I didn't think I would say this, but it actually feels really good. I mean, having the information is so helpful because if I have an idea and think, oh, let me just throw it out and see what sticks, right? I just do it, and sometimes it's great, and sometimes it doesn't. I don't feel super affected either way. But as a younger person, I felt very sensitive to that. But lately, I'm like, who cares? Let me try it. Maybe somebody needs it, and
Love that.
that softened a lot for me in my experience, and it's allowed me a lot of mental freedom to just try something, right, and see what happens.
Yes, and that's the beauty of really like embracing the three, because the three is one of the hardest profile lines. And there can be like a lot of hopelessness through the trial and error, or not even trying, or getting stuck in repeating the same thing. So it's like, oh, the gift of knowing about the three is, oh, this didn't work. That's okay. I learned from this, and then I'm going to try this and see what sticks. Exactly how you described it. So that's
Yeah.
beautiful. And I feel like what just popped up into my head is with, and we're about to go to your other channel next, but with the channel of awakening, it's a very in alignment with your incarnation cross, which is the right angle cross of consciousness. So we have this expression of yourself, your self-love, the empowerment you're here to express in the now, and then your knowing of consciousness, what is true, what isn't true, what's been illuminated to you throughout your life, really embodying the the power of your rituals and the hunger for life. And so it's like just seeing these themes, because we'll have themes that will really support us in our design, and then conundrums, which is like it pulls you in kind of like the opposite direction. So now we're seeing like a lot of themes that can be really supportive and coincide with your design.
Okay.
Does
So
that
the
make sense?
I think so. So the conundrum ones, are they more to also push you into or push you away from things that maybe are not meant for you? Or how would you explain that? I don't think I understand that part.
Yeah, that's a good question. So a conundrum, I'll give you an example. So for me, I'm a 5-1. My profile is a 5-1. So that's all about being a fixer. It's a problem solver. But then my motivation is hope. So that's a conundrum because hope doesn't do anything. It really just trusts and knows what can change and what can't. And so it's like my profile, who 70% of who I think I am and what I'm here to, help be when recognized. I'm here to, I can see patterns, I can solve problems really, really great, but I'm being motivated by hope, which is to do nothing and to trust.
I
So
see.
it's like that's kind of pulling, that's very two opposite things.
Mm.
And so it's just integrating, okay, well, what does that look like for the 5-1 for me? And that's the experiment of navigating a conundrum like that. And like a conundrum for you could be, so you have some tribal gates, and so those themes, it's like you have this like sensitivity through animals, your tribe, but it's a hanging gate. And then the 44 is part of the entrepreneur channel, but it's the 44, you don't have the other hanging gate. And so we can be triggered here. And this can be, in a sense, like a conundrum, because it is like a tribal aspect that's wanting to like find its other gate.
So almost like a partial imprint kind of, and maybe seeking the other piece.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what like the hanging gate is. It is always wanting to find that other electromagnetic. So let's get into your other channel, because I feel like we might find like another conundrum that could speak to this better.
Okay.
So do you feel complete with the 1020 channel that we went over?
I feel complete for right now. I've
Okay.
got getting to do for sure. But yes, for right now, this is a
Yeah.
really good start. Thank you.
Yeah. And if you have more questions, just reach out to me after this too, or whatever comes up for you.
Wonderful.
So now we want to get into the 1333. It's called the prodigal. So this is a collective abstract channel. And the collective abstract, it's its frequency, its rhythm is very slow, because it is all about looking at the past and gathering data from the past. It's abstract, it's not logical. So it's almost like poetic. And the collective abstract is an experiential process of reflecting on on the past. Like I said, it's slow moving. It's a little bit longer than how the other channels operate. And the 1333 is a collector of stories from other people, seeing the themes of what secrets they divulge to you, and then sharing the theme of the stories to the collective when invited and why it is important. Obviously, you're not going to be like, oh my gosh, Susie told me this secret about herself. Like, it's like, oh, these people, like the people I've worked with, or the friends that I have, or, this group of people, or throughout the years, I've heard these stories centered around this, this, and this. And this is the theme that I see, and this is why it's important. And it's like it's a storytelling channel. Like the 1156, it's also like the storyteller, but the 1333, it's more about the collective in the sense of what stories people have told you. It's based on the gathering of, because the 13 is when people tell you all the things. it's it's what people just randomly might open up and tell you. And this is also a theme for projector. And then the gate 33 is all about keeping the secrets.
Hmm.
And so, or it's keeping the secrets or not. I've seen this as or not. Some people do not know how to keep the secrets when they're living in their not self. And so they'll just divulge and kind of be like more gossipy. But the 3313, it really is, a very sacred channel of honoring the collective stories of the past and what you've been gathering data on, and feeling the importance of the secrets, the themes, the stories that people have told you, and then how it's invited out to be expressed is going to be very unique. So how does that um resonate and land for you?
Oh, this one's very resonant. And people have, as long as I can remember, people have told me the juiciest, most secret, little saucy pieces of information, usually about themselves. I do consider myself a good information keeper. Um, but it's only been in recent years that I realized not everyone has that experience, right? Like for a long time, I thought, oh, maybe it's because I was in the massage therapist role, and that's kind of an intimate role, and a lot of people can verbally process during body work, and that probably had something to do with it. But even as a child, people just tell me stuff. I mean, really interesting things, very beautiful things, very sad things. A lot of heart connections have come through those conversations. And so it really does feel like an honor. Um, but I do find myself using that now for collective information. Obviously, not
Mm.
like you were saying, but themes, or okay, I'm noticing a lot of clients are struggling with this particular flavor of energy right now, for example, things like that. And it's fascinating. It's a very curious energy to be in. I love it. It to me feels very natural, feels very natural to me.
I love that. So let's look at, and oh yeah, I wanted to ask you, how is that invited out? How is that recognized from other people as a projector?
Um, it's generally on a one-on-one basis, or maybe like a very small group, like maybe a women's circle or a Reiki class, or a very small group. Um, and often it comes up when people are telling me their experience or explaining something happening in their lives. And then they'll say something like, have you ever heard of that before? Or do you know anyone else who may have this type of problem? And that to me often feels like an invitation to share. Generally.
Mm,
Um,
yes.
yeah, I'm open to more of that though. I'm open to ideas, but I am still in the process of learning. Not everybody's ready for this jelly, right? So the invitation, I'm learning. I'm learning.
Yes.
I'm still in that lesson for sure, but um, I'm growing my skill set at waiting to be invited, because I have seen over and over again, without the invitation, people may not be ready to receive.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the storytelling thing, that's definitely resonant. I mean, that's a day-to-day experience for me. Sometimes it's just people sharing, sometimes it's people asking for, wisdom or insight. Sometimes people
Mhm.
heard, and I like that too. I very much like holding space for that experience for other people.
Yeah, so this is sort of like a theme then for being a projector too. It's very in alignment with the projector aura and supporting you. And let's look at the gates and where they're placed. The 13 is an unconscious gate for you. It's in your Jupiter, which is all about expansion, luck. And it's in your fourth line. So the arrow is going down. It means that it's a detriment. So this is kind of like a challenge of how Jupiter is expressing itself through luck and prosperity. So it's really, um, but it seems like it works really well for you because through your network, people will open up and tell you things. And that's how you really gain luck and prosperity.
Mm,
And then through the gate 33, it's in again your line four. You have, I think, like more some like line fours. Yeah, you have a lot of line fours maybe in your chart. So that could be sort of like a conundrum since you're a 3-5. You have this conundrum of like having more four gates through your network. And so you might be drawn more to like your network, what your network needs. But then through the 3-5, it's through really your trial and error and then teaching people who are more outside your network who you don't know that are strangers. So you might be pulled in
hmm,
these two different ways. And then that could be like a way of the 5 being falsely projected on because the 5 is like the deepest projection field. And so it's very hard to actually really see a 5 for who they are because it's like projecting like the savior or oh my gosh, you didn't live up to my expectations, so I'm going to kick you off the pedestal I put you on. But then you have all these line 4s in your chart, and so that's all about your network. So that could be a conundrum here that you
mm-hmm.
might see and want to play with. So with the 33, it's in your Venus. So that's all about your relationships. It's all about your values. And then again, it's in your line 4 and it's keeping the secrets of, who's opening up to you. So the theme is good with the 1333 because they're both in your line 4 and it's through your network, um what they're opening up to you and telling you. And then so what's coming through is and then you get to universalize this information and teach it to people who you don't really know through your 5 because the 5 is really the 5 is the heretic. So the heretic is to teach people that are more so like strangers and that you don't know and not in your network.
Interesting.
So how does that land for you? Do you have any questions with that channel?
Not yet. I'm sure I will, but they're not here yet.
Okay. So that was a little overview of your channels, going in depth with what they look like for you through your planetary influences, your lines, and then some other things that kind of popped for me as we were going through them. Do you have any last minute questions, comments, anything that you like to share before we end?
Not that's consciously on my radar, but I'm sure I'm going to. So I've taken good notes and I'm going to do a meditation around this as well and then get back with you and see. I would love to dive deeper, but right this second, I think I need to sit with it.
Great. Well, I just want to thank you so much for being with me today, for sharing your chart, for allowing us and other viewers to look into what these channels mean and look like, and then inviting them to see what their channels can activate within themselves. So I will leave all of Mallory's links in the description of this video so you can reach out to her if you're interested in working with her, learning more about her. And if you would like to get your human design chart read, if you'd like to go deeper, if you'd like to receive coaching, I will leave my links in the video as well and my website. And yeah, I'm just so excited for this journey we're on together for human design. And until next time, thanks
Thank
everyone.